What's up, guys? This is Harry from Zero's Geckos, back with another vlog. I believe this is vlog number 7. Just a few things to chat about. My last vlog, I was chatting about Pomona. I was just driving back from Pomona, and I had a lot of stuff to catch up on after I came back. I've been working on my website. My friend Alex has been building it out for me, and I've been going back and forth with him, and I just want to make it very simple, like very simple to navigate, simple features, and yet at the same time I want to include things that will allow things to be a little bit more exciting. And so I have a feature tab that I'm excited to use. It's basically a featured animal, and I'm going to do auction style. So for, I don't know, make up a day, right? From Wednesday to Friday until end of day Friday, I'll run this auction, and starting bid $10, no reserve, and whatever it sells at, the winner will get an add shipping, right? So I think it'll be kind of exciting to do that internally on my website as opposed to doing Morph Market. So Morph Market auction is fine. My first time I listed the Morph Market auction, I got a troll bid that jumped the price up to $400, and then obviously that person bailed. The same person bid on another breeder's auction at the same time, and she also bailed on that one and didn't pay up. And so supposedly Morph Market banned them. We don't really know. I still see her account, but maybe she's just banned from bidding on auctions. I don't know. That auction fell through. I relisted it a few days later, and then it just sold a few days ago. And so that person paid up, good to go. That person's in Florida. That person won the auction animal, a 29-gram Harley male for $200. Plus, I did a flat rate shipping of $60, so $260. So I thought that was pretty good. Morph Market only allows you one auction per month. I think if you have a higher tier account, you can do maybe two a month, but I'm on the most basic paid tier, and so I only get one auction a month. The workaround is just to build a website that includes that functionality. Obviously, I don't get the Morph Market audience where anybody can just search up an animal and find it. Instead, I have to use whatever following I've built to announce it and to promote it and to market it. The Gecko Pod has always been a place that doesn't have sponsors, and also AJ and I don't really push our own animals on the platform because I don't want it to feel like a nonstop gross ad that people have to, are forced to listen to. Instead, I want the Gecko Pod to just be a seamless interview, clean. We have some credits at the end, and we'll push things a little bit here and there, whether we have flora fauna or have some upcoming shows. But other than that, we don't really push or sell anything on there. And so several people have reached out to us to promote their stuff, and we've always declined. And the reason is that reason. We barely push our own stuff, and so I'm not gonna have other people that we're not super familiar with push stuff on the Gecko Pod, right? And so we're not there yet. Eventually, maybe we can take some sponsors, legit sponsorships, but right now we're fine. I think everything's paid out of pocket. StreamYard and all the stuff I pay out of my own pocket. AJ and I will split some of the cost. StreamYard, I just paid $470 last month for another year of streaming, and so the thing's not free. It's not crazy expensive, but it's also not free. I've been buying equipment so that we can have a better experience, better audio, like this microphone right here, better audio here with this, and just like slowly piece together and upgrade my equipment as we go. That's been fun, but also things cost money, right? So we've been bootstrapping and just selling t-shirts and hoodies to kind of help mitigate some of those costs, and that's been helpful. But just at a break-even point when it comes to all these things that cost money to run the show. But anyway, getting back to what I was trying to say, marketing my website and this featured page where I'm going to have an auction style thing every week. I think it will be pretty exciting. I'm pretty excited for that. So, obviously the vlog is the vlog and I'll promote it here. I'll promote it on Instagram, my Facebook. So I don't imagine that right now I have a very strong pull to kind of push people to those things. Initially, this is what I guess is going to happen. I'm going to push my website. Everyone's going to check it out at the beginning. They're going to check out the feature page with the auction, and they might bid a little bit on the animal, but give it a couple weeks, people are going to start tapering off. And that's kind of the natural course of things, because when you promote and push and market things too heavily, then people just kind of start to roll their eyes glaze over, and they just swipe. They don't even look at your stuff. So those people that over promote, it begins to get a little bit spammy. So going back to kind of these giveaways, like if you do it again, that's fine. That's totally fine. I'm honestly not like offended that people do these things. It's just how we all market and stuff. It's totally fine. But I personally don't do that just because I feel like it's a little bit spammy. So for my stuff, like we all spam to some degree, but I think it's the nature of how much are we pushing and selling and telling people to get our stuff or look at our stuff. People have only so much social capital with you, and you want to spend that wisely. So I'm not going to keep pushing things and selling things unnecessarily, right? We have to do those things because that's how we sell, but I want to do it in a way and at a pace that feels pretty steady and level and not too stuffy. So an example is this. One thing that I feel like has been going well, or at least has been improving, is, I talk about this a lot, is the broadcast channel on my Instagram right now. So broadcast channel, again, I know I always do this, but I just like to show very tactically what things are. Geckos business community. I have about 402 members on there. I'm guessing a bunch of them are from you guys, from the vlog and the Gecko Pod and whatever, and other things. But so this broadcast channel, I'll talk about this poll in a second. But this broadcast channel, I feel like, is a very sacred place. Meaning, if you start a broadcast channel and you ping and you use it a lot, it goes to people's DMs, right? That is a personal space that I don't want to intrude on unnecessarily. Obviously, people sign up for it, and yes, they can just easily jump out and leave the channel. Yeah, that's no problem, right? But my goal is to maintain members and even grow it for the sake of building out a community, for the sake of people learning from it. So instead of like selling stuff on it, which most people do, I hold this to an important place and understand that anytime I message here, it goes to your DMs, right? And that is personal space that I don't want to bother. So I'm not one to like bother people. So maybe this is me being a terrible salesman. I don't know. A lot of people like are more bold and pushy with stuff. For me, I'm kind of more laid back. I want to experience something that is different. And so because I want to experience something different, I don't want to be spammed and constantly sold stuff in my face type of thing. I understand that most people probably feel the same way. I mean, some people like the commercials and the spams and stuff. I don't. And I'm sure a lot of people don't. Sometimes it's helpful if you're actually looking for something and you're like, oh, cool. Like, here's an animal that I wouldn't have known about unless somebody Insta-storied it, right? And that's fine. But in general, I feel like most people don't want to be spammed. So this broadcast channel is something that I'm trying to grow and utilize in a way that will be helpful for other people. Okay, so that means that I'm not here to like necessarily sell you stuff. If I have sale animals, I'm not going to use this channel. I'm not going to be like, hey, buy this at this, and every week just keep trying to spam sales. That is not the purpose of this channel, and I'm not going to do that to you guys. Instead, it's for these vlogs so that people can listen and learn. It's for, I don't even use it that much for I don't think I've posted any gecko pod stuff, maybe one gecko pod thing. But even then, I just put that in IG stories. But I do this for the vlog, some more personal stuff. I do this for polls, and the whole goal of this page is for people to benefit from. So a lot of it is when it comes to sales tactics, people will try to benefit from their customers. For me, I really genuinely believe that the customer should benefit from me. So I want my audience and my followers to benefit, not to be sold necessarily. I want them to learn. I want them to get a collective understanding of what other people think and go through when I have questions myself. I want people to kind of visit these vlogs as new breeders so that they can kind of see and understand the process of the wide range of starting up as a gecko breeder. My goal and hope is that you guys will learn from the broadcast channel, from these vlogs, from the gecko pod. And yes, I do have animals for sale and I've been selling, but it's not hopefully in a way that is in your face, always 100% marketing sales. If anything, I want the percentage of my business and kind of my page to skew more heavily towards teaching and people learning and benefiting from just being a part of the community that, the circle that Zero's Geckos is in and the Gecko Pod is in. I want people to come to a place and feel like they want to be there, like they want to learn, they want to grow. And if I have extra animals to sell, I'll sell you animals. So there's that. Going back to my webpage that I've been working on, I want to release it, I don't know, maybe sometime this week, even for this vlog. Right now it's Monday, I'm recording at nighttime. I'm going to try to release this vlog tomorrow, maybe Tuesday. And then maybe on Wednesday, I'll release my website, zerosgeckos.com, with the featured auction animal that people can jump in and test out. And so I'm basically testing out this featured website. In theory, it should work well. It'll work just kind of like the Morph Market auction, auction style. But so I'll have the picture of the animal, a video in a carousel picture spinny thing, and then you can go over to the video so that you can see what the animal is. I'll have the details of the animal, what morph it is, what the parents are, if I have lineage, the weight, the sex, and then there'll be a timer of when it'll end. The timer and the dates of the auction, and then below that will be a comment section. In the comment section, you enter your email, and then you can post as much as you want. It will be a bidding system, right? And it has a timestamp, so people can see when people bid. Hopefully that works well. Our buddy Alex that came with us that drove all the way down from Utah to be with us at the Anaheim show, the Pomona show actually. He's been helping build out my website. He's been helping AJ as well. But he did a good job within the criteria and the parameters that I set. I think he could have done a much better job with my website actually, but I feel like I'm holding him back because I want things to be like ultra simple. Like just you can go to my page and see how hopefully clean and simple and uncluttered it is. I had that criteria for him and he kind of helped me build it out. So hopefully this featured auction page will be awesome, and I'm going to run it every week so that people can always come back to the website and bid and look at other available animals that I'll have in the next page. And I'm also going to include the vlog and the gecko pod, and so that it'll be kind of a hub for people to come anytime they want to learn and grow and also see available animals. There's also a blog post that I'm working on. I don't know if it's redundant if I'm doing these vlogs and blogging, but I know some people like the content of just reading as opposed to listening on YouTube. So I'm just going to attack both and see how that goes. The blogs, I don't imagine I'll spend a tremendous amount of time on, but I do want to have some text and some posts there so that people can read as needed. I'm also working on some simple care videos that I'll eventually put out on my website so that anytime, you know, people buy a gecko at a show or whatever, I can just QR code them to kind of this care section, and they can step by step what to do when, you know, you buy your first gecko, and what enclosures do you use, what food do you use, how often do you feed, and what do you feed, things like that. So all simple stuff that we can already find on YouTube and the internet. That's already redundant, and people have talked about it for a long time. You can just Google anything and you'll find it. But I want to do that for myself so that it's more personalized when I sell an animal to a new person at a show that's just getting into crested, or maybe some aspiring breeders that want to learn a little bit more. I want to have a care guide and maybe a little bit more advanced things, relatively advanced things for a new breeder, so that they can have a centralized place to go to hear these vlogs, to go to the Gecko Pod to learn from other breeders, can go to the care guide, they can see animals. That's my goal for the website. So that's why I've been spending extra time working on a simple website. So even when you go to the website, you're gonna be like, this is simple, why did it take so long? It's because it just took a lot of thought to kind of figure out how I want to do it. Talking with Alex and working with him has been awesome. I love Alex, man. Like, Alex, appreciate you, man. Like, he's been very patient with me in terms of working and dealing with me to get things to how I want it. Yeah, I mean, you could go to Squarespace and you could build a simple website. It's just the same thing, you know? But I love that I can talk to Alex and kind of customize things in a way that other websites and website builders and platforms aren't necessarily able to do. So for example, this auction thing, I was looking at, was it Shopify? I was initially, before I talked to Alex, I was building my website on Shopify, and I wanted to have these auction features, and you can do that on Shopify, but you have to pay, you have to add an extra extension and plugin and a widget, a third-party widget, and it would cost money. It's like $10 extra a month. So it's not that this website I have now doesn't cost money, but it's just not as customized in the way that I can build it out myself. So I'm excited about that. I think it'll be good. Coming back to this broadcast channel, the question that I asked recently, basically I put a picture of an animal that I have in collaboration with AJ. This is a girl from AJ that's ready to breed, and we're doing a collab. So I asked, and I was curious to know where everybody stands when it comes to loan animals, when it comes to collaborations of the pairings, and then, you know, splitting the babies and whatnot as they kind of grow. And surprisingly, my first question is, do you collab pairings with others? And 106 people voted yes, assuming I trust the person. And 18 people said no, I wouldn't risk it. I thought that was pretty enlightening because I didn't realize so many people would collab. I thought a lot of people would be more hesitant than just 18 people who voted and saw this thing. And then the second question, the follow-up question for the poll is, have you been burned on a collab before? 87 people voted no, not yet. And 6 people voted yes, it was bad. So maybe because I've heard of some really bad collabs that went down, and obviously this is a small sample size. We have like thousands of breeders and only like 130 people. So it's a small sample size, but nonetheless, it's a sample size. It gives us a little bit of a picture. And I thought more people got burned and didn't trust doing collabs, but I guess that's not the case. A lot of people do collabs. A lot of people share their animals together, produce from those pairs, and they share those animals. I mean, it makes sense to do that, to be honest, because if an animal, some breeders, high-end breeders, $1,000, $2,000, it's expensive, right? You can't buy all your own animals. A lot of people can't do that. When I first started buying animals, I was very wary of collabing anything. So last year, my first 2 years, I didn't share any animals whatsoever. I straight up bought every single breeder that I have now. It wasn't until, not this last Tinley, but the Tinley last fall, 2022 Tinley, that's when I bought my first animal that I shared. I co-owned with AJ. And that is the supposed cappuccino phantom cap from Janine at Treehouse. That was back then. It was a pricey animal. Is quite expensive, and so we split the cost. AJ took Cappy first last year, bred it to a bunch of stuff, and then I'm taking it this year, right? And then the second animal that I co-own with AJ is a pixel male from AC. So I have that animal first. After I'm done with it, breeding with it, then I'll send it over to AJ. So those are co-owns, not just collabs. I feel pretty safe with that because AJ is my buddy. I trust him with so many aspects of my business and with so many things. Before the reptile hobby, working in different industries and realms of the world, I've been screwed. I've been backstabbed, taken advantage of more than once. And so you'd think I would learn my lesson, but I'm very trusting of people. Now I'm a little bit more cautious of people, but in general, I am pretty trusting of people that value and think the same way that I do. And when that's the case, then I'm happily able to connect and kind of share things. With AJ, I totally trust. If I ever get screwed by him, that would not be good. I would be so devastated. But I know it's not the case with AJ. AJ is good people's, and so to me, it's more than just a hobby with AJ. We have a personal connection that is pretty good and strong, and so I'm trusting that that will be maintained. Besides the co-owns, I also have collabs with AJ. I sent over expensive stuff to AJ to kind of pair to some of his animals. I told you guys in my last vlog that I dropped off some animals to AJ at Pomona. It was the Pixel girl, the visual axanthic female. I had a ready to breed. These are all ready to breed actually. A clean cappuccino female from Dawn at RCK. I have my red phantom port female that I love that has kind of the white pinning. I brought that over to AJ as well. And I also brought him my Frappuccino, clean Frappuccino male that he's going to breed to some of his females. Those 5 animals were pretty expensive, but I'm entrusting it in AJ's care and that he's going to pair it well and take care of them. And so we're going to share some offspring together. And so that's the level of trust that I have with AJ. And apparently that's the level of trust that many of you guys have with your friends and other breeders. So I think that's awesome. I think the collaboration, the working together, having a tight-knit group of friends, I think that's very important to build and have. So if you don't have that yet, continue to reach out to different breeders, people that have the same thought process and mindset and values as you, and run with them. Try to connect with them and try to work with them. The difficulty sometimes is that you might have a breeder with like some really high-end stock, and then you have some other breeders with kind of lower-end beginner stock, and that's totally okay. But just keep that in mind that breeders with super high-end stuff will likely not collab with low-end stuff. You just have to kind of work your way up towards, especially if budget doesn't allow. Totally okay. Like, don't feel bad about that. Just make sure that you're always in the mindset of kind of upgrading your stock as best as you can. Buy the best stuff. We hear this all the time on the Gecko Pod. I feel like every single breeder has said this. Spend your money on 2 of the best breeders that you can get, as opposed to 6 mid-tier or 10 or 12 low-tier geckos, right? Buy a small amount of geckos. This advice is hard to follow actually, because you're going to buy 2 top-end geckos and then you're going to be waiting. You're going to be waiting for it to grow out. You're going to be waiting a year, year and a half, 2 years. And within those 2 years, of course you're going to buy more freaking animals, right? Like, we just all have that itch. And so you begin to collect other animals, other side animals that you think you can use. And before you know it, you have 20, 30 geckos that are low to mid tier. Rather than doing that, just save your money, be patient, save your money, buy a pair of high-end breeders. 6 months later, buy another pair of high-end breeders. Like, don't keep buying and collecting little things here and there if your budget is tight. Obviously, if you have a really high budget, do whatever you want. You could buy whatever you want and learn and grow and make all the mistakes. That's what I did. I had a higher budget I set for myself. I saved money from my previous job, and I used that budget. I probably went above that budget as well. My wife is mad at me for that. Use that budget and allotted amount to buy animals within the span of a year and a half, 2 years, and be patient. Like, don't impulse buy. Impulse buy is the killer of new breeders. You're just gonna buy a bunch of stuff that you can't use. You're gonna have to get rid of. Just be patient. Ask people whether or not they should buy these animals. Ask people whether or not the pricing you think is good, and they'll tell you. And don't just listen to one person, right? Get a collective of breeders to kind of tell you like, I wouldn't buy that. Another person might be like, yeah, that's okay. Another person might be like, dude, that animal is awesome, but I wouldn't spend that much. So you kind of get a collective understanding of other breeders. So people have asked me several times whether or not, an animal is nice or how much they should spend, and I'll tell them my opinions. I say, this is my opinions. And what I always do though, is I say like, ask other people as well, get their opinions, because it's the collective thought that is going to help you grow. Don't just listen to one person. Don't just listen to one source. Don't just listen to the Gecko Pod. Don't just listen to the vlog. Try to reach out to other people, watch their stuff, learn from other people. And as you kind of grow and understand and develop an eye and your particular taste of what you like, then you'll begin to lean closer one way or another towards the school of thought of one breeder versus the other. And that's very common, and that's totally okay. So I'm never one to be like, oh, you have to just listen to the Gecko Pod and we are the source of authority. Somebody asked me this past week, what's the go-to source to learn about morphs and to learn about how things pair? And I said, well, we have the Gecko Pod, but that's just one source. Ask other people, talk to other people, watch other people's stuff, because eventually everyone's going to come to a place where they're going to trust one source more than the other. If it's the Gecko Pod, if it's this vlog, if it's me as a breeder, awesome. If not, that's okay too. That's totally awesome, right? There's enough breeders and knowledge to go around for everybody. What you shouldn't do though is to completely shame and hate and destroy people just because you disagree with them. That happens way too often, and that kills me. That definitely kills me. I was recently blocked by a couple readers because they disagreed with kind of some of the stuff that was said on the Gecko Pod, whether or not it was me. And we hashed those things out, and it's fine now. But stuff like that, right? Like, it's unnecessary. Like, why block other people that disagree with you? Okay, this is me personally saying this. If you don't even have to agree with this, but why block other people that disagree with you? Who cares? Like, there are so many people that disagree with each other. It doesn't matter. We're all in community together, and we'll all learn to live together. And when I scroll and see some dumb stuff, I'm like, that sucks, but whatever, just move on, right? It's not a big deal. I said this in another vlog as well, but okay. I'm going down some rabbit trails, just crazy train of thought, and I'm not super focused. So I was talking about the polls, about collaborations, about loans. Yeah, find people you trust and roll with them and continue to build relationships. It's always, I've said this before, it's about building the base. Build your base, constantly build your base, make connections, make relationships. If you think you can solo it by yourself, I think that's going to be a long road ahead of you. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. Anything is possible. But without making the relationships and connections of the community, it's going to be much harder. So the community is going to help you grow. So don't shun the community. Even if you disagree with them, you don't have to bash the community and burn the bridges of people you disagree with. That to me is backwards. That's detrimental to your business, and it's detrimental to you and your reputation. So do your best to stay calm and chill and just be cool with people. It's that simple. You know, if you disagree, that's fine. Just move on. You know, there's no need to destroy people's businesses just because you disagree with them. Now, when it comes to, you know, animal abuse, okay, that is something that's a different story. You know, there's a lot of gray areas, there's a lot of black and whites, and so those things we just gotta figure out case by case. Again, I'm not encouraging animal abuse. Terrible. If you do that, that's terrible. But I do feel like sometimes things are done in a way that might not be the best, but we don't all of a sudden go and say that, oh, this guy's an animal abuser through and through, right? Some people make mistakes, and there should be grace and redemption when it comes to people working through hobby and kind of how they operate. I tend to give the benefit of the doubt to people and just let them work it out and learn and grow, right? It's not like we're trying to actively kill our animals. That would be a shame, and I don't think, I would say 99% of the people aren't out to try to kill their animals. Okay, I've been rambling a long time. I'm trying to keep these vlogs shorter. Obviously, I failed again. One more thing I guess I'll share, and then I have other topics that I can discuss in the next vlog as well. But one more topic is about last week's morph chat. We talked about empty backs and super stripes. And for me, that was actually a very good episode to kind of sit through and listen and learn from AJ and Anthony and Jess. And I know that there are differing opinions of the empty back. You know, Brian Butler has his view of empty back, and other people have other thoughts of empty back. And so not everyone's going to agree with what we said or how we view the trait. But I thought it was a good overall chat and discussion, because if you don't know much about morphs, then this is kind of a good intro and primer to understand a little bit of this morph in particular, empty back super stripe. I love how AJ had picture examples. He sent me picture examples, and I just loaded it up onto the stream, and we just went through it and we talked about the traits. Kind of like the Phantom episode as well. The Phantom episode, I was actually more confused afterwards. Phantom, I still don't have a great handle on. I do and I don't, meaning I can identify more phantoms now with more accuracy, but I realized that certain things that are phantom, I wouldn't be able to tell. Certain things that aren't phantom, that look phantom to me, I wouldn't be able to tell. So I can identify with more accuracy many things, but there are some tricky ones that I realize are out there that stump even the best of us. After the Phantom chat, I realized that a good amount of people don't actually know what Phantom is, and that's okay, right? I don't fully know what all my Phantoms are, you know? There are so many examples, and there's not just one way to explain and define it. You know, sometimes Phantom trait with other different morph combos creates a different visual animal, and not all of them are easy to tell. Right? We just think patternless immediately, but it's not that simple. There's more to it than that. So that's what kind of throws me off and confuses me for certain examples. But when the empty back, we talked about empty back and super stripe, that to me was a little bit more straightforward, although AJ says that empty backs are actually harder to tell. And it's because we have the heterozygous and the homozygous forms of empty back. And it's not, empty back isn't a recessive thing. It's more that the het means that there's one copy of the gene. Homozygous means there's two copies of the gene. So when it's a het and there's only one copy, then we can see it visually, but it's not as strong. So obviously if you have two copies of the gene, it's going to display and express itself more strongly in the animal. So visually we can see that the empty back is a lot more prominent. But what I wanted to say about that chat was that I heard that when we talk about morphs and genetics, it's completely lost on people not familiar with the hobby or genetics and how animals interact and produce. Sorry, I got lost for a second. My son came in the room. But what I was saying, I think, is that with the morph chats, it's more advanced. Even if you think this was easy for you, if you're a new breeder, you probably don't know what we're talking about. You know, if I were to show this to my wife, who knows nothing about reptiles, she would be completely lost. I have to keep that in mind and understand that these morph chats are good, but maybe we can use more simple language and even continually repeat ourselves when it comes to the definitions and the terms so that newer breeders can watch this and still learn. I'm sure they can still learn, but what I mean is that they can still learn in a easier fashion where it doesn't take them a tremendous amount of brain power to try to figure out what all these terms are and how things work. So maybe in the next morph chat, we'll try to dumb things down even further and make it as though we're talking to new breeders that know very little about genetics and how everything works. So basically, I want to continue to try to make and create more beginner-friendly content so that people can get up to speed much quicker. After all, that's the goal of at least this vlog, and hopefully the Gecko Pod as well. So the Gecko Pod should hit new breeders that are new, they don't know too much, but also experienced breeders that can nerd out over the morphs and the genetics and how everything works. I found that just talking about different topics and hearing things repeatedly has been very helpful for me in terms of learning a new hobby, learning a new subject matter. So hopefully even these chats, these vlog chats, you guys can learn and glean a little bit of wisdom here and there and learn a little bit from every episode, every vlog. I know it's helpful to see videos of the step-by-step, care 101 or how to, etc., etc. And there's plenty of information on those. And eventually I'll do a few of those too. But right now I just want to have these conversations where you just throw it in your AirPods and then go for a walk and kind of listen, try to hear from how I operate and how I do things, and hopefully that's helpful for you guys. All right, but there's so much more to talk about, but I'll save it for the next one. I don't want to bore you guys too much with me rambling on forever. I do want to show more animals. That's something that people like to see, and I do want to show more animals and talk about them so new breeders can learn what's what and what things look like and different stages of things. Let me think, what can I show you right now? Let me see if I can pull an animal for you guys to see. This animal might not look like much right now, but I think it's going to develop very nicely. This is actually a ghost baby. I did a late pairing with Ghost and a female, another Harley female that had some good coverage, and this is what popped out. All right, this animal keeps jumping around. I keep losing it. And this animal I'm hoping is going to develop into a very high coverage animal that I keep losing and it keeps jumping away. So right now he has some high coverage already, but he's not drippy yet, but he has some good white spotting along the base pattern. And the creaminess of him is leaning a little bit more white. So I'm hoping that he's going to develop to be really nice. I'm actually not sure if it's a boy or a girl. I haven't sexed it yet. I probably could. But this is probably about like 4 grams or so, little baby. And so for stuff like this, you can't sell these right away. You have to watch them develop and grow. And this is where patience, a lot of patience comes in. You just have to, not only are you waiting for, as a new breeder, not only are you waiting for your breeders that you bought small to grow out, you then have to pair them and then hatch them the next season, and then you have to wait for these things to grow. So it's a waiting game. As new breeders, just be prepared to wait a long time and be okay with it. So even with nice animals, if you have 2 really stud animals, you can still create a lot of mid animals. But once in a while, you'll get some holdbacks, you'll get some nice stuff. So this one, I'm hoping will have a lot of promise, and hopefully Ghost will just prove out to be a very good breeder. I like animals that have a lot of hard patterning white, and I'll talk about that next time, what hard and soft patterning is. But this is a nice animal. This is a Ghost, and the female that I had is a female that I bought from I grew up from AJ. It's Volt and Maris. This one's pretty cool. We'll see how it turns out. Actually, let me sex it right now and get an idea of what it is. If it's a boy, it'll be very obvious. I would say usually by around like 8 grams or even a little bit sooner than that, you can sex with better accuracy. But let me sex it. Here's what I do. I put the gecko. So I take the lid of a deli cup. You know, the top is right here, the shallow part. And then I put the gecko in it and under it so I don't crush it. And so when I put my hand over it, it's there's a space. But I apply just enough pressure where it's not pushing him in at all, but it's kind of trapping him with my fingers. So he's just kind of stuck there. And that's kind of, and I use this loop and I loop it. So let's see. This one at the moment has no pores visible. So let me see, let me weigh it. It's still pretty small. Sometimes you'll get a definite male at this age where they already have pores. And so that's when you know and can tell with certainty that it's a male. But females are a little bit harder. This one is 4 grams, so it's still pretty small. 4 grams, no pores visible. So if you're selling animals that are smaller like this, then you can sex it and say no pores visible, but it doesn't mean that it's a female. It can still pop pores at 8 grams, 10 grams, sometimes even at 15 grams. And then a female that turns into a male. And that actually happens more often than it should. I'll talk about that next time too, about no pores visible, possible pores visible, at what grams you can loop things and have a better chance of accuracy of sexing the animal. And so I've gotten fairly good at it just by sexing so many animals. Before I couldn't sex and loop animals. And then, you know, Brian, who's Geckos, he's like, yep, just keep looping them, keep sexing them. AJ's like, yep, just keep looping and sexing them. And any chance you can get, just look at animals. And so after a while, you begin to develop a quicker eye to see pores, or whether they're pores or pseudopores, and you begin to more accurately tell what's what. So it's just through practice. It's not too difficult. Maybe in the care guide I should say, oh, how to loop an animal step by step. That could be like a 1-minute video. But let me know if those things are helpful. Little tips like that, and how to loop animals, how to sex animals, why people say no pores visible, why people say female. People have been burned improper naming of animals before too. And so it's good to learn your terminology. One time I bought a 4-pack of animals from a well-known breeder, and I would consider him a friend. So it's no hate on this person, but it's just primarily because I didn't know the terminology back then. But I bought an animal unsexed. I got the animals and I sexed them as soon as I got them, and some of them were already big enough to obviously be sexed. And I'm like, of course they're freaking males. So in a 4-pack of unsexed animals, 2 were male, 2 ended up being female. So it's true. And then I asked the guy, and I was like, hey, I bought unsexed, but now these 2 are big enough and clearly male. And the person told me that, well, I sold them as unsexed. I literally didn't sex them. So unsexed means they weren't sexed. They weren't even looked at. But you can argue and be like, dude, the thing is 8 grams. How can you not sex it? There's no way you didn't look at it, right? That's the terminology, technically, is that an unsexed animal means that the breeder didn't sex the animal at all. I guess you could say that if the male has balls and it's like 15 grams and be like, oh, it's unsexed. I'm like, dude, I can see balls on that thing. So just be careful of the terminology. If you guys are interested in that, I'll talk more about that next time. All right, but I've rambled enough. I wanted to go half an hour, but I think at least this recording is like 60 minutes right now or more. But so I'll have to trim some of it down. Hopefully I'll cut it down to, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes. Well, I'm not sure actually. We'll find out. All right, I'll catch you guys next time. If this was a helpful video, like and subscribe. I don't actually know what the like does, so like if you want. Subscribe helps me to know that people actually like the content. The like doesn't matter to me as much, but the subscription helps me to know whether people are following, are listening, and whatnot. The views also help me to look at it too. So there's all these analytics I can look at, but I don't dive too deep into the analytics. But if you subscribe, I think that would be helpful. You can get notifications and whatnot anytime I release this. But I also post these things on Instagram, which is the majority of my following. Whatever is helpful for you guys, that'd be awesome. So, but I'll catch you guys next time, and maybe I'll do another one next week. There's always a lot to chat about. So I'll see you guys later.